What would it be like to live in an America full of giants, warriors, and raiding beasts? An America where your neighbors are sharpening axes instead of mowing lawns, and the sound of morning traffic is replaced by battle horns. Long before Columbus even packed his lunch, the Vikings had already touched North America. But what if they didn't just visit? What if they stayed, built towns, raised families, and turned the land of opportunity into the land of longships? Well, when Leif Erikson and his crew first reached the rocky coasts of Newfoundland, they weren't just exploring. They were staking the first Viking claim on North American soil. They called it Vinland, the land of wild grapes and thick forests, a place that felt both familiar and strange. From there, they began spreading slowly down the North American coast, building small settlements wherever the land was kind enough to let them stay. They built longhouses near rivers and forests, sturdy wooden homes with smoke drifting from the roof holes and animals tucked inside for warmth. Winters were harsh, the kind that froze your boots solid and tested even the toughest Norse spirit. Many didn't survive, but those who did learned fast. Their old farming tricks didn't work here, so they turned to the native tribes, who showed them how to grow corn, beans, and squash. The Vikings brought what they knew best: iron tools, shipbuilding, and trading. What began as tense meetings soon turned into a rough kind of diplomacy. One season they'd trade furs. The next they might raid the same village if supplies ran short. Over time, something unexpected happened. The two worlds started to blend. Vikings and native tribes formed alliances and families, sharing languages, traditions, and even designs. Runes mixed with tribal patterns, iron met stone. This was no fairy tale colony. It was the first real version of what could have become New Vinland: tough, thriving, and fiercely alive. That's what I need you to think. Like if the Vikings had built America, things would have been way more entertaining, and probably a lot louder. Like take politics for a second. Their version of democracy, called the Thing, was an open-air assembly where anyone free could show up, argue, and vote. Not with ballots, but by shouting. The loudest side usually won, which honestly sounds more efficient than most modern elections. Viking-style equality would have looked pretty different too. Women had serious power. They could own land, run businesses, get divorced, and even lead raids if they wanted. Shield maidens were both warriors and icons, and merchants often worked side by side with their husbands in trade. Compared to medieval Europe, Viking society was practically progressive. Law enforcement wouldn't have been gentle either. There'd be no quiet courtrooms or polite warnings. If someone stole your livestock, you literally get to drag them to the Thing and everyone weighed in. Justice was fast, loud, and public. Over time, this system would evolve into something that looked like an early democracy with furs and axes. A place where debates happened under the open sky and where people actually showed up to argue for what they believed in. It might be chaotic, but at least nobody could say politics was boring. Religion would have been a wild fusion too. Odin, Thor, and Freya meeting the spirits of the earth, wind, and water from native traditions. Instead of choosing one over the other, people would have simply blended both. Thunder gods and harvest spirits would share the same altar, and ceremonies would mix: bonfires, drums, and corn offerings. Holidays would look nothing like ours. Yule would replace Christmas, stretching for days of feasting, storytelling, and massive bonfires lighting up the snow. Gifts wouldn't come wrapped in paper, but earned through friendly duels or challenges, because what's a celebration without a little competition? Forget Santa Claus. Instead, kids would wait for Odin riding his 8-legged horse, hoping for a reward, or bracing for a test of bravery. Halloween wouldn't be about plastic masks or candy corn. It would become Ancestor Night, when families gather around fire pits, sing old songs, and tell ghost stories about warriors who never made it home from their voyages. Temples wouldn't be grand stone cathedrals either. They'd be wooden halls, decorated with runes, feathers, and tribal carvings. Inside, the air would smell of smoke and pine, and chants would echo in languages that mixed Norse rhythm with native melody. And talking about temples, let's get into public places. If Vikings had colonized America, forget highways and freeways. Rivers would rule everything. The Mississippi, Hudson, and Missouri would turn into watery trade routes, buzzing with longships loaded with furs, iron, and barrels of mead. Every major settlement would sit near a riverbank or coast, its docks packed with traders yelling prices over the crash of waves. Cities might have names like Vinland Harbor, Newfjord, and Thor's Bay. places where every deal smelled faintly of salt and smoke.
The Vikings would have built an economy that thrived on movement and exchange.
From the forests came timber, from the mountains came iron, and from the icy waters came endless dried fish. These goods would sail east, across the Atlantic through vast trade networks connecting Europe, Africa, and even Asia. In return, ships would bring back silk, spices, and glass, luxury goods that would make Viking America glitter centuries before the rest of the world even realized this continent existed. By the 1200s, North America might have already been a global trade hub, with harbors rivaling Constantinople or Venice. And as for banking, forget Wall Street, they'd have Axe Street. You didn't need a contract. Your honor was your credit score. Miss a payment, and you'd better be fast with a shield. Viking America would look nothing like the glass and steel skylines we know today. Instead, imagine towering timber structures, carved with runes and dragon motifs. Basically, runic high-rises that creaked when the wind blew, but stood strong for centuries. Every city would have a central mead hall instead of a mall.
Family life would revolve around clans,
Not individuals. Multiple generations would live under one massive roof, sharing food, stories, and responsibilities. Privacy? Barely a concept. Fashion would be a mix of warrior grit and runway flair. Picture fur cloaks, leather boots, and iron jewelry. Every outfit looking halfway between a battlefield and a Fashion Week photo shoot. Tattoos wouldn't be for trends. They'd carry runes of protection, strength, and heritage. Each mark telling the story of who you were and where your clan came from. As for food, forget drive-thrus. Daily meals would mean hearty stews, roasted meats, thick bread, and mead. Always mead, with berries or herbs for flavor. Fast food? They'd call it fast feast. Quick bites of roasted lamb skewers and flatbread you could grab before heading back to the forge. And for the caffeine crowd, the Viking version of Starbucks would be Valhalla Brews, serving honeyed mead in carved mugs, with the slogan, "Drink brave, die loud."
But if this Viking lifestyle had shaped modern America,
would we still scroll through screens or carve our tweets into wood? Well, not quite. Factories roar like longships in a storm, and innovation carries a battle cry. Tech giants won't be called Apple or Google, but Longship Systems, Odinware, and RavenNet. Social media takes the shape of the World Saga, an online hall of fame where users post their life achievements the way skalds once recited epic poems. Forget selfies, people share their victories, completed projects, successful hunts, or heroic gym PRs. Viral trends would be as wild as the people themselves. Axe-throwing competitions, shield wall challenges, and quizzes like, "Which Norse god sponsors your destiny?" dominate feeds. Even dating apps carry a mythic twist. Users swipe right based on rune compatibility and shared ancestor stories. Sports. Football becomes shield ball. Players wear chainmail-inspired gear and celebrate touchdowns with war cries. Hockey still exists, but with iron helmets and sword-shaped sticks, making every match feel like a winter raid. Workplaces ditch corporate monotony. No resumes, only saga scrolls, detailing one's conquests, skills, and past glories. Even academia thrives in this heroic chaos. Colleges offer courses in navigation, runic engineering, and applied mead brewing, because in this world, knowing how to brew courage is as vital as coding it. By the time European explorers finally reached North America, they wouldn't have stumbled onto empty forests. Instead, they would have found a Viking native confederation, well-organized, heavily armed, and centuries ahead in navigation and trade. Longships lined the rivers, fortified towns dotted the coasts, and the thing-like councils ran cities with a mix of strategy and spectacle. Colonization, as we know it, simply never happens. With centuries of experience on rivers and oceans, Viking America quickly becomes a naval superpower, controlling trade across both Atlantic and Pacific routes long before Europe catches up. Their explorers push farther south into the jungles of South America, survey the icy expanses of Antarctica, and who knows, maybe even claim the stars first. With America's trajectory rewritten, the world balance flips. Trade, politics, and culture all pivot around this Viking American hub. But if America grew up under the Vikings' rules, would our idea of success, the modern American dream, look more like a heroic saga than a suburban checklist? In a Viking-shaped America, the American dream takes on a whole new identity. Forget buying houses and climbing corporate ladders. Here, success is measured by deeds, courage, and stories. Your legacy would matter more than your paycheck, and every adventure, big or small, becomes part of the tales sung in mead halls across the land.
The nation's symbols reflect this fearless spirit. The bald eagle? Out. In its place soars Odin's raven, clever, watchful, and bold. The Statue of Liberty isn't a lady in flowing robes, but a massive shield maiden, axe in one hand, torch in the other. Even the anthem would shake the skies, a thunderous chant meant to be shouted by thousands, echoing through wooden halls and river valleys.
Society itself thrives on courage, loyalty, and adventure. Communities would revolve around clans, ships, and shared tales. Education is about skill, exploration, and mastery. Whether you're building ships, brewing mead, or navigating uncharted rivers. Work is about honor and achievement, not office politics. Sports test strength and strategy. Festivals celebrate deeds, not dates. But what do you think? Would you rather live in a land ruled by Viking courage and adventure? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more.